Hey friends, welcome today to Resilience with Rebecca. I am Rebecca and I am here with our guest today to talk about real conversations with real people about real life. We talk about the challenging middle. We talk about getting up in the midst of the challenging seasons, and we talk about moving forward. Today, I am joined by my awesome guest, Lisa. Now, Lisa is a creator of the YouTube channel, The Trauma Healing Journey. She openly shares her personal story and insights that she's gained with more than 30 years of working through impact of childhood trauma. She explores the patterns, beliefs, and survival responses many people carry into adulthood. Her series, Experts Explain Trauma, features respected voices in the trauma field who break down complex topics and help viewers better understand how trauma has shaped their life. Lisa's work centers on self awareness, helping others feel less alone, and through their lived experiences as they navigate their own healing journey. I want to say today, welcome, Lisa.
Well, thank you, Rebecca, for having me here. I'm really excited, and I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've had some awesome guests so far on this, and I've really been looking forward to our conversation because I know you as well are a big proponent of the resilience idea.
Yeah,
And it may be termed differently based on whatever we're talking about, but it all kind of boils down to that same idea. And so I love that.
right.
I love the meeting of the minds here that we're going to have today.
Exactly, exactly. And we'll be able to help others, which is awesome.
Absolutely. So, Lisa, are you willing to share with us maybe something in your life and something in your life experiences where you were able to overcome something and build resilience in your life?
Oh, there's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories. Goodness. Let me see if I can think of one. I mean, I'll share. This is interesting. I don't know why I went right to this, but it must be the right story. But really going through the divorce of my after my first husband, going through the divorce with him because we were married for a long time. We got together really, really young, and we were together for a very long time, but we were both really, really unhealthy.
Mhm.
And I basically outgrew him is what happened. I mean, I don't want to bash him or anything, but what surprised me was the attachment I had to him and to that and to the idea of being married, right?
Right.
Because it goes down to a belief that I had that nobody loves me, and this was the only man on the face of the earth that loved me. So you could imagine how traumatic it was in my mind to separate from that. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to go to. And the other thing is too, I didn't want to get a divorce. That wasn't what I didn't get married to get a divorce.
Oh,
But what it made me do really is sit my butt down on the couch and start looking within.
mm,
Why is this going on? And I had an understanding of kind of what was going on. It wasn't until I got really into trauma therapy that I could see what was really going on. But getting through that was one of truly the hardest things I ever had to go through. And there were so many layers to it, right? It was, divorcing somebody I'd been with for 30 years that I shared a child with, and a
mhm.
life with. I mean, our lives were so intertwined. And
Yeah.
and undoing that. And then there's the whole trauma aspect, unhealed trauma in me that was just firing up left and right on me while I was trying to navigate this. And so it was tough, but it needed to happen. And I'm definitely a different person as a result of it, and definitely stronger as a result of it. But for a while, I didn't know if I was going to make it through. Honestly, it was tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I cannot even imagine. Your life does intertwine when you're with somebody for that length of time. I
Yeah.
don't, it's like when you mentioned the 30-year, we're actually coming up on our 31st anniversary,
Yeah. It's
32nd. I don't know.
been a while.
We're coming up on that. And when you said that, I thought, how do you untwine 30 years of, this person's
Yeah.
been literally wrapped up in everything, your children and all that. I mean,
Friends.
that's not an easy thing to go through. I guarantee you had to learn some lessons in resilience through that process.
And I loved his family. His family was truly like my family. So there was the heartache of that, of me making the decision and, and so, yeah, there was a lot of layers. So yeah, it was tough. Wouldn't want to necessarily go through it again, but
Yeah.
I can tell you if I had to go through it again, it would be different.
Right. Lessons learned.
Definitely, for sure.
I liked what you said earlier when you were talking about it. You said you had to sit, you said it great. You said, I had to sit my butt down on the couch and look within. And
Yeah,
I, because
yeah,
that's
because
where it starts. We can only,
exactly
yeah,
because the problem for me is I would keep myself busy, 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 so I wouldn't have to deal with anything.
right.
So, I will say God made it to where everything, all my distractions, everything was set aside. He made me sit on that couch and have a conversation with him. And I'll tell you, one of the conversations we had, and I was quite angry, I will be honest. I remember I was sitting on the couch and I realized in this moment, I had no control over anything else in my life, including my then husband. I was so angry when I had that aha moment. I was so angry. I literally, no one was home, thank God. I literally stood up in my living room and screamed and had a little tantrum. And then I stopped and I thought, wow, actually, how liberating that is. It dawned on me like I don't have to try to control that and control that and control that and control all this stuff that I had no control over in my life. This
Mm.
is the only thing I have control over. And so it was actually very liberating to realize that. First, I got very angry, had my little fit. I'm sure that God just sat there and laughed at me because it's pretty silly. But then that realization of, you know what? I don't have to control everything. Ah, what a relief.
I love that. I always like to say you kind of people you like you said get busy and they push that stuff aside. It's
Yeah.
I like to tell people, you got to wallow for a little bit. If you don't, you'll
Mhm.
almost go crazy. And so it's like you got to wallow a little bit. And so get in there and wallow around in it and give it its space. And then,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then,
because a lot of times
yeah,
it's in the wallowing that you catch stuff, that things come up. It's in that wallowing sometimes.
yeah, yeah. I think it's, mm, I hate to use the word wrong because I don't like the right and wrongs.
Yeah.
There's definitely a line between right and wrong, but I don't like to say somebody did something wrong when they were grieving or they're experiencing.
Right.
But I believe if you don't allow yourself that space, that you're gonna have to come back and visit it at some point, and it's gonna pop up its ugly head up at the worst possible time.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I was going to say is that you're going to deal with it sooner or later, and it's better to just deal with it sooner and just allow yourself, give yourself that grace, give yourself that time. Because here's the thing, you wouldn't push someone else to, come on, let's move along. Come on, come on, come on. You're not going to do that to any of your loved ones, right? So don't do that to yourself, right? You do need to work through that stuff. You do need to give yourself grace and time.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. Do you feel like there was moments where you were? I'm sure this is a silly question. I'm trying to word it a little less silly because I'm sure there were moments where you felt like throwing in the towel or giving up or just saying it's not worth fighting through this to get better or to make the
Yeah.
decision. Like how did you keep yourself encouraged during that season?
Yeah. There was a time that it got really, really bad. And I actually felt like I was going to have a nervous breakdown, honestly. I mean, my former mother in law, bless her heart, she even, she's like, you need to go to the doctor because we're getting worried about you. And so there was a moment. I never, I, I never wanted to like end it or anything because I had my son. But I'll be honest, if God wanted to take me out, I was okay with it. That's kind of how I looked at it.
Mm,
I wasn't going to do it myself, right? But
right.
if God wanted to take me out, okay, there was moments that I remember begging him to take. The pain was so intense.
Wow.
And I would say things like, okay, let me go to sleep at night, not wake up in the morning. And then I'd wake up in the morning, I'm like, really, God, seriously? It was kind of like I went through that. Um, and he just showed me, you're not done yet. You're not done yet. I still have plans for you. You have value. I didn't feel like I had any more value. The
Mm,
only man on the face of the earth and I were divorcing. So there
Mm.
was nobody else on the face of the earth. This is my mindset that loved me. So why not end it? And God showed me, no, 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 no. And that is kind of where I started the relationship with myself and having a relationship with myself and starting to discover that and starting to become my own best friend and advocate for myself and protect myself. And that's kind of where it started, where I was like, okay. And that, I think, is what got me through that. And my son,
Yeah.
really. Hmm.
Yeah, our kids are a powerful force when we're trying to,
Oh,
when we can't. So sometimes people say you have to do it for yourself, and we're not strong enough sometimes to do it for ourselves, especially in
yes.
those beginning moments where the wind has just been knocked completely out of you and you're down on.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's not enough left of you to stand up for yourself. And that can be something I don't think long term it needs to stay on them because that's not theirs to carry.
Right.
But I think that we have to have something sometimes to hitch our wagon to for a short time until we
Right. Hope.
absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, you mentioned like talking in that same vein, like the that you know that you were kind of having to encourage yourself, you were having to build a relationship with yourself. What about those people who are in like that situation now? They've just begun this process. They feel like there's not a whole lot of hope. They feel their value has been shaken or taken away. What would you say to that person in that situation right now?
I am a big proponent of therapy. I really am. And so if it's trauma related, I would say start with trauma therapy for sure. Trying to go at it on your own, you need the support because, like you were just saying, there's moments where you're just not strong enough to even stand, and you need the support and the love of others coming alongside you. And you need to have a safe place to talk. And we can't always talk to our relatives, our loved ones, right? Our friends try to help us as much as they can. They have their limitations. And so you need a safe place where you can start to let this stuff out. But I would say start looking within and start asking yourself questions
Mm,
without judgment, because we tend to be very, very hard on ourselves. And it's real easy. It's real easy for me to be hard on myself. I could tear myself up in a heartbeat, right? It doesn't feel good though. And it doesn't send me in a good direction. And so start asking yourself questions, start looking within. But I would absolutely say get a support system around you. That is number one.
mm.
You don't need to do it alone. You shouldn't do it alone. It will be a very, very long process and probably not as successful if you have a support system around you. So that's number one. And support system is your family, your friends, and a therapist.
Awesome. Awesome. You mentioned looking within. I love that whole idea because that's where growth, any kind of growth is going to happen. It's going to start with you. If you want change, you start changing yourself. If you
Yep.
want growth, you start with growing yourself. If
Yep.
you want, whatever, it starts with you. So
That's right.
how would you encourage those that are maybe they're stuck in the messy middle, maybe they're kind of got one foot in the quicksand and the other foot on the solid ground and they can't figure out how to take that next step. What's something that you would advise that they do, like something that you would give them to kind of hang their hat on?
You mean like modalities or something? Because I know with modalities, I know that, like, for me, like breath work, like when
Hmm.
I'm in that place of overwhelm,
Yeah,
absolute overwhelm, like you were describing, like as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, that is overwhelming, right? It's
exactly.
overwhelming to have a foot in the quicksand and one on some stable ground and you don't know which way you're going to go. My One of the strongest things, or the one of the best things for yourself, is a pause and a breath.
Mm,
And sometimes, because I can remember, and I think you can definitely relate to this, that there's times where you're living moment by moment, literally, breath by breath. You're just waiting for that next breath. And it's so overwhelming once you take that breath. But those breaths help you, and just give yourself a pause, give yourself a moment. And, it also, the other thing that I used to do is always go to the negative, right? And always go to the problem solving place.
yeah.
and and it's impossible, and it can be very frustrating because you don't know what's next, but my brain's trying to go there and trying to figure out what's going to happen next and what's my next step. And sometimes it's just taking a pause, taking a breath, and calming this down because this thing goes crazy sometimes.
Right.
And then it starts affecting your body. And so that's why I say breath work is one of my go tos for sure. And taking a pause because I'm so reactionary.
Hmm.
And so I've learned over time that that pause is very powerful, very powerful, and keeps me out of trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I would say. I mean, I hope that answers the question.
No, absolutely. I like to I like to have an idea of like something tangible to do.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Mm-hmm.
though, it's like sometimes you just need to be, sometimes you do need to do something and you can't figure out what to do. Well, take a breath.
Yeah, because you can take a breath anywhere. Sometimes getting out and just going out and getting the fresh air, go take a 5 minute walk or just go stand outside and take in some, break away from what sometimes we need just a break from the intensity of what we're in for the moment, right? We just need a break. And
Right.
so that's what you can do. Go take a walk or, go play. I take my dogs outside and I play ball with them.
Right. Absolutely. Fresh air, there's it's underrated. Fresh air, rest.
Yeah. And it's free.
They're and breathing, they're all underestimated.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember telling one of my daughters, I said, she was panicking about something. I don't remember what it was at this point, but she was panicking. That's what I told her, just take a deep breath.
Mhm.
And I said, come on, take a deep breath. She's looking at me like, Mom,
I know.
deep breath. She took a deep breath and I said, okay, in this moment, like right now, you're okay. And whatever
Mhm.
you're getting ready to step into, you can face it, but just take a minute and catch your breath first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
clear, like you said, your mind's going crazy. Got to clear your mind and
And
step in.
it affects your body and
Absolutely.
your heart's racing and your breathing is funny and yeah, it's overwhelming.
How many stories do we hear now about people even being hospitalized because their bodies are overwhelmed because of what they're facing?
Yeah.
It's not something to take lightly. It's like, yeah, just got to take a minute. Take a minute. You know.
Yeah. What's interesting is there's a statistic with abuse, and that is that especially with sexual abuse, women who are sexually abused, it's usually between the ages of 13 and 17, but they don't share the story for 4 decades.
Wow.
So my point in this is that, and this isn't just sexual abuse. I know this to be true in all abuse. I did it myself. Like you don't recognize it or you just don't talk about it.
Right.
And this is true with all abuses. And the thing is, imagine the stress that your body and your mind has gone through for those 4 decades from that trauma, that unhealed trauma, and what it does to your body and what it does to your mind. And that is suffering. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the missions of what I'm doing is hopefully to shorten people's suffering so they can discover this stuff much earlier in their life and
Wow.
address it so they live a life of not all that stress and trauma.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, they're still traumatized if they're it's 4 decades later, they've been continuously traumatized,
Correct.
not just between 13 and 17, but from 13 to, 50 or 60 years old, they're still
Yep.
daily being traumatized. That's just incredible.
And it
Incredible.
compounds too. Imagine, because with everything that happens, you get triggered and you react and you don't realize it, and then so all this stuff adds up. And so by the time you're in your 40s, you're like, I'm a hot mess. Like what's going on? You
Absolutely.
know?
Absolutely. So what do you feel like that those types of that's a really, I mean, that's a subject that is an uncomfortable subject for a lot of people, for
Yeah.
sure. But we learn things in those hard seasons. You learn things working with people in hard seasons. What do you feel like your definition maybe of what you thought resilience looked like before you met these different people who've gone through this pain? How's it changed in your heart and in your mind?
What surprises me is just how strong people really are.
Mm,
And just what people can go through and come out the other side and still be, and still become a healthy person. Because I've literally seen that. I've literally seen, and I've seen it in my own life. Like I don't want to brag about my own life, but I've seen it in my own life of what I used to deal with and what I had to deal with and what I had to go through to get where I am today. And look, I'm not anybody special. I've just done the work and I'm still doing the work and I'll do the work until the end. But it amazes me. I mean, excuse me, I don't like to say other people had it worse than me, but there are stories that are abs that I have heard that are will blow your mind. And yet
Absolutely.
these women are still standing. They are still digging in and healing, and they are walking into the life that they have so desired. And a lot of times better than what they even imagined. That's
Wow.
what blows my mind. That is resilience. When you go through this horrific stuff that these women have gone through, and yet they're still here and they're still taking those steps. That's amazing.
Yeah. Incredible. Incredible women.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and have a lot to share too.
Yeah, I bet. I bet you that's very inspiring when you're able to walk with somebody as they start to kind of peel back some of those layers and they begin to
Yeah.
really kind of bloom in their own light. I mean, I can just imagine the satisfaction, for lack of a better word, that you take from that.
Yeah. Oh, there's not enough money you could pay me that would give me that feeling. I mean, it is so special. And it's cool to watch anybody heal, whether I'm participate or not. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's just I love to see people heal and get better and you know, just live the life that they want and that they desire. It's just amazing.
Well, when you're telling the story, it's like I don't even know these women, and I want to stand up and cheer.
I know. Cheer them on, yay.
Go girl. You know, and I'm not making light of what they've been through. It's just inspiring to hear the
Mhm.
stories of the I don't like to say come back stories. I always say they come forward stories because it's just they've just come so far and it's
Yeah.
beautifully inspirational to hear those stories.
Yeah, because the thing is, you're not going to go back to what you were,
No, never.
right? But it, but that's okay. You're going to become a better version of yourself.
Right,
That's what you're going to do. Hmm.
right. Well, how do you stay open hearted after hearing? I mean, you can hear stories and just get almost jaded. You know that the world
Yeah,
is a terrible place. Like, how can
yeah.
somebody do this? Sometimes I make a mistake and I watch some of those. You know, they find the
Documentaries.
killer killer documentary shows, and then I'm like,
Oh yeah, I know.
days I'm like mad because this person was traumatized and harmed
Uh,
and
uh-oh.
he disappeared on me.
I know my camera just shut off. Hang on a second. I don't know why it did that. I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh,
No
I'm so
worries.
sorry. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's tough hearing these stories and not getting really, really, really angry. First of all, I'm careful about what I listen to and what I watch.
Yeah.
I'm really because of that, because I'm very sensitive. Like I don't watch action movies, like it's too much for me because I'm in this arena all the time.
Mm,
And it is, you know, there's the injustice, right, that's happened to these people. And, a lot of these perpetrators and these abusers, they're not getting what they justly deserve, in my opinion. So it
right.
does. So I have to first of all, I have to limit how much I listen to and how much I get into it. But it's I'm not sure exactly how I switched it off, but I have learned to kind of like set it aside because I'm an overthinker too. So I have to be careful, and I could tend to go down ruminate and go down rabbit holes I shouldn't. So I've really had to be very conscious about what I listen to. Of course, when I'm listening to women, that's a different thing. But when it comes to TV and all that, um, and then just kind of set it aside. I don't. I have to turn it off because it's a thing in me where I want to go out and I want to really hurt that person that hurt them.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can see that. So how do you stay open-hearted to help? How do you, what is the tools that you use to kind of keep, because you said you don't know how you switched it off, but what are some tools that you can encourage others to, when they're in the middle of maybe helping somebody or they're in the middle of going through the situation to kind of help them to stay open-hearted, but
Yeah, I think focusing on the person who needs the help is
mm,
what I tend to focus more on what does this person need right now. Is I listen to their story because it's important for them to have a voice, but that situation, I can't change that situation,
right,
right? but I can what I want to focus on is getting these people to move forward. And so that is a lot of my focus. The other thing is like one of the things that can affect us that are in trauma that in this arena is at night, right? At night when it's quiet in bed, right? And you start thinking about these stories because I'm telling you, I've heard horrific things.
Right.
And one of the overthinking tricks that I do is, and this sounds silly, but I heard this and it works for me, is I count. And as I'm counting in my head, I'm literally looking at the numbers in my head
Mm.
so that I'm getting my mind off of that other thing and getting me to focus on that. And 98% of the time that works.
Wow. Yeah, I've had
That's a
that.
big one.
Yeah, I've heard that before because your mind can't think about both things at the same time.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, and a lot of times I fall asleep by 30, by the time I hit 30 or so. But that's one of the biggest tricks. And really because it is your brain does want to go to that story and then relive it and replay it, and you can't do that. And so I would say just focus on the person and what that person needs, um is the biggest thing, and it because you want them to move forward. And if we
Right.
keep talking about the story or keep reliving the story, because that's what happens a lot of times when people tell these stories, is they can tend to relive it, and you don't want them reliving it. So we need to move them forward. And so I think that's what really helps me a lot is those two tricks right there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So if you had to define doing what you do, going through the life experiences that you've experienced in your own personal life, how would you define resilience, making it personal to you?
The first thing that comes to my mind is moving forward no matter what. Because I had that. I've had that all my life. I felt like I never had that option of just giving up on life. That I always had to just keep going. Now that's good and it's bad. And when it's out of balance, it's bad, right? Or it's not healthy, let's say that. But I just always found a way to push forward. It's different now than it used to be. Now I don't do it at the expense of my own health or me,
Right.
but it's keep moving forward,
Yeah. Keep moving forward. That's a good one.
even if it's a baby step.
Yeah. I used to tell people if you got to dig your teeth into the ground and pull yourself forward by your teeth, forward movement is still forward movement.
Exactly. Even if it's just a little smidgen, it's still moving forward. We're still going to count it. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, Lisa, I wanted to thank you for coming on today and being my guest. What a privilege it was to hear your story and your insights on the topic of resilience. I knew it would be an awesome thing to hear and to be able to share with others. The wisdom that you bring to the table is just unparalleled to anybody. So thank
Thank
you
you.
again for
Thank
being
you.
on today. And I want to
Thank
thank
you.
everybody else for hanging out with us here today on Resilience with Rebecca. If this episode spoke to you like it did to me, please feel free to share this with anyone you think would benefit. And remember, you're always more resilient than you think. Have a great rest of your day.